You're listening to the Valued Podcast with Shayne and Luke Wyler.
In today's episode, we talk about how to pivot, when and why pivoting happens, and what you need in order to pivot properly and be the valued leader that you are meant to be. So with that, here's our conversation on how to pivot.
You really need to understand how to pivot. So that's one of the key things we want to talk to you today about is how to pivot, and more importantly, how to pivot and be valued as you do that so that you can engage in the opportunities that come your way. That's the core idea that we're going to chat about today, is how do you pivot and still be valued in all that you're doing as a leader with those that you're leading, because as you and I both know, you need to be able to bring people with you.
So a lot of people think of pivoting as big major changes, and that scares them a lot, which is why a lot of people don't want to pivot. They just want to stay doing what they've done every day for the past who knows however many years. The truth is, pivoting is not exactly like that. Pivoting isn't always necessarily going to be some big life-changing thing that, sends you spiraling out of your comfort zone. Pivoting could just be little things. Pivoting is just kind of keeping your eye on where opportunities are, always following the opportunities, and then just stepping into them wherever they are. You're just looking towards the opportunities, making sure you're focused on the opportunities. When you live your life stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're just missing all the opportunities that are going right by you. Whereas when you're focusing your life on actually meeting the opportunities, the rest of the little details of life kind of fall by the wayside. You don't really care about doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's just, whatever happens in all the little details of life happens because you are focusing on what's important. You're focusing on fulfilling your purpose, and you're just focusing on why you're here, and you're looking for all the opportunities that you're given to fulfill on that.
Yeah, so I think there's two key definitions in everything you just said there. One, opportunities. We've talked about it before, but we really need to talk about what we mean by that. And simply, it's everywhere that you're needed and wanted. That's an opportunity. So when we say opportunity, that's what we're talking about. It's not just where you're needed, and it's not just where you're wanted. It's where you're needed and wanted. So that's the key. That's really the whole reason you would pivot. So now pivoting is really just shifting to meet your opportunities where they're at. Mm-hmm. So as opportunities come to you, you need to shift, you need to pivot in order to meet that opportunity as it comes to you. That's how we've looked at it. That's how we've experienced it is, there's a new opportunity. Okay, we need to shift some things. We need to change how we do certain things in order to meet that opportunity as it's coming. Mm-hmm. Opportunities require us to pivot. It's just part of the experience. So if you're not willing to pivot and shift, you're going to miss key opportunities along the way. And eventually, you're going to be devalued.
Yeah.
Because you're just not going to be where you're supposed to be. You're going to be in places where you're needed but not wanted, and where you're wanted but not needed. You're not going to be in those places where you're both needed and wanted. So that's the first thing. Pivoting, all it is just shifting to move to meet those opportunities where they're coming at you. So in that, one of the key things to remember that we talked about even in the last episode is opportunities are given. They're not made by you. As you embrace that reality that opportunities are given to you, it gives you the ability to pivot so much more quickly and more easily, because you're not hanging on to stuff. You're actually going, okay, I know that I'm going to have to change something. Every new opportunity demands that of us. You're never the same after you've received an opportunity and engaged in it. You're not the same person. You're not the same company, family, community, country. You're just not the same after you've engaged with an opportunity. That's part of it. So in order to pivot, you got to be willing to do that, to allow yourself to change. And it starts with you changing your position, right? Changing how you are engaging in something so you can receive that opportunity that's coming to you.
Well, and really what pivoting is the ability to make sure you are always on target, because opportunities are a moving target. And so if you are able to pivot, you are able to make sure that you are always where you are supposed to be, always doing what you are supposed to be. Because if you train yourself to just stay locked into one place, that moving target's going to come to you eventually, every once in a while. But for the rest of the time, you're not going to be doing what you're meant to be doing. And the chances of you, just falling out of that place and missing your opportunities completely are very high. If you're not doing what you're meant to do every second of your life, you're not doing what you're meant to do. I mean, that's just the truth of it. What you are meant to do is an all-encompassing story. It is every second of your life. There's never a time when you are living the life you're supposed to live and then you're not. If you're not always living the life you're supposed to live, then you are not walking the path that is yours to walk.
So true. And one of the things that you said earlier that I think is really important to come back to is the reality that we are required to make subtle pivots all the time. We become highly aware of the big pivots because they're the ones that cause us to shift. But pivoting is like a muscle. Like you have to work it out so that when you get the opportunity to lift something heavy, a big opportunity, you're able to make those shifts because you've been training yourself to make these subtle shifts all the way along.
Absolutely.
So that you've built that muscle, you've built your team and the resilience in your family, like whatever context in which you're leading and wanting to be valued in that relationship, you've built your ability, but also the ability of those around you, those that you're leading, to be able to make that shift with you.
Well, and if you never pivot at all, you won't be able to pivot when it comes to the big stuff. And
that's right.
That can set you up for a lot of disaster, because when the big things come that, you've got to pivot in order to just survive, if you can't pivot, you're going to get sucked under that avalanche.
So that leads us to our second point. When and why would you pivot? I mean, as we've already said, the reason that you would pivot is because there's an oncoming opportunity that is yours to have, which is going to shift you towards the opportunity and away from any sort of distraction. So really simply, the reason why you would pivot and the reason when you would pivot is because there's an opportunity. There's a place where you are needed and wanted, which is going to require you to pivot.
And within that, you need to train yourself and have the discipline to, actually look out for those little opportunities that you need to pivot towards, because so many of us, either we miss an opportunity or we see it, we just see it as the disguise that it's under. We just take it for face value. Like, if something happens in your life, in any area, and it's so small, you could see it as, just part of a bad day. You could see it as a little annoyance. You could see it as just, not everything in your life goes perfectly. Or you could see it for what it really is, and that's an opportunity. I mean, it's an opportunity to fulfill your purpose. And when you look at that, it's a lot different. But how many of us actually look at those things as the opportunities they are? We miss them so often. And the reason that we miss them is because we're not willing to pivot towards them and answer them because we're afraid to pivot.
One of the things that I'm reminded of, just as you're talking there, that I learned years and years and years ago, that I've been trying to put into practice all these years, is this simple statement that you got to make things personal, but not take them personally.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you make something personal, you're engaged in it. You are alive in it. There's meaning to it. There's purpose within that, because just like you said, it's an opportunity for you to do something. So all too often, we think we're getting criticized, or we think we're getting disciplined, or we think, the person's coming against us. But in reality, it's an opportunity to pivot to a new perspective, to a new understanding, a deeper understanding of what it is you're trying to do as a leader, so that you can be valued in every single relationship. And if you make it personal, that relationship is personal. It's exactly what it needs to be. But if you take it personally, then all of a sudden your guard goes up. You stop engaging in the opportunities, and you start distracting yourself because you're afraid you're going to get hurt or whatever's going to happen. And, realistically, we all get into bad situations because we've agreed to be distracted.
Mm-hmm. Well, and on the extreme end of this, if you are taking these opportunities, which seem to be just disruptions to your everyday life, if you're taking them negatively, then you're going to do the exact opposite thing of what you should be doing. You're going to, attack that opportunity instead of step in and give everything that you're supposed to give. You're going to take from that opportunity instead because you feel vulnerable and you feel attacked. So you're going to, step in and fight back. And it's extremely dangerous to do that.
Yeah, and that's how you get hurt. That's how you hurt others. That's how, that's how things fall apart, is because we take things personally.
Absolutely.
But really, we're supposed to be making it personal. And in that, as soon as you do that, you allow yourself to engage in the opportunity, just like you said, so that we don't generate, even if it's a negative thing that's coming to us, like it could be a legitimate crisis. It's coming to us. We're actually legitimately being attacked, right? But if we embrace that opportunity to be a valued leader in that opportunity and realize our purpose, all that stuff gets dismantled really, really quickly. Not that it's not that it's easy, but it is that simple, that as you engage in that and make it personal, but not take it personally, you are allowing yourself to pivot where you need to pivot and shift and dance and move as it's moving, so that you're not going to get taken out. And you are actually going to be able to lead others through that are counting on you, that are dependent upon you, to be able to lead them through that opportunity, even though it looks like, an incredible challenge, something that is insurmountable and impossible to overcome.
And within that, I mean, there are so many incredible gifts that we receive in life that we throw away or sidestep because we see it as a disturbance to our daily routine or to our lifestyle. I mean, how often do we get stuck in a line because we think that's what we should be doing? And an amazing gift comes along, but we see it as an obstacle in our way. We see it as, something that's disrupting us or an inconvenience to what we're doing. And so we completely trample it or throw it away, discard it. And it's really sad because those gifts could completely change our lives.
All right, so that leads us to the third question. How do you pivot? How do you pivot? Well, here's what we've found over the years, and this is actually the beginning of what's going to be a 7-part series in walking you through the lead framework. But that framework is there to help you engage in your opportunities. It really is that, and in those opportunities is everywhere you are fulfilling your purpose. So really, how do you pivot? How do you know when to pivot? Well, there's 7 key areas that we found over the years that we've taught, hundreds and hundreds of people around the world to do, and it's proven itself time and time again. And we want to take that time to share that today, just a quick overview, and then dig into it over the next 7 episodes so that you can really understand how to pivot, how to engage in your opportunities so that you can be the value leader everywhere that you are being called to be valued, at home, at work, in your community, in your countries, everywhere that you have that opportunity to lead. These are the core 7 things that you need to have in place to understand how to do that. So the very first thing you got to do is you have to clarify your purpose. You have to know why you're here, and you have to delineate that and discern how is that different than what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
Because those are different things. We say it all the time. What you do has to align with why you're here. And why you're here actually dictates what you do. If you don't know why you're here, you could be doing a great thing, but you're not doing the right thing. So you need to clarify why you're here, and your purpose is a why. It's not a what. You're going to hear us say that a lot, especially in this first step. Your purpose is a why. It's not a what. What you do must align with why you're here, or you will definitely be devalued. And I know that you know that. I know that some of you are listening to this right now going, why am I being devalued? It's because what you're doing isn't fulfilling on why you're here. So the very first thing to do is to clarify your purpose. What's number 2?
Next is discerning your vision. So that's where you're going. That's what you're aiming towards. Is the ultimate fulfillment of what you are meant to do in your purpose.
Yeah, and in that, so many people, and we'll share and dig more deeply into this, but so many people, leaders and companies, what they do is they confuse goals and vision.
Mm-hmm.
They are two separate tools that you need that are both important, but they're not the same thing. So we'll go into that. We'll dive into that in 2 episodes from now. Really, how do you discern your vision, and what is it, and how do you use it in order to be the value leader that others are asking you to be?
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is really simply, what's the dream? What's the dream that you are invited into and therefore inviting others into? And the key to know about that is that it's available for everyone that wants to have the need answered that you're here to answer in fulfilling your purpose. So that's the big picture. That's the Martin Luther King dream. Martin Luther King Jr. dream that's pulling you ahead. It has a hold of you, and it's pulling you forward. And you have to be a part of it. And as that excitement and as that inspiration grows in you, you invite others into it, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And your understanding of your purpose within the dream gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and your life gains more meaning, and your work gains more meaning. Your relationships gain more meaning and hope as you live life instead of pursuing death and pursuing things that are going to amount to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're pursuing the things that are actually causing life to happen around you, not only in your own life, but in everyone that engages with you and accepts that invitation. That's really what the dream is about, and defining that dream so that you can invite others into it very, very simply, and remind yourself very simply what dream you're a part of as well. So that's the third step.
Next is your mission. I mean, that is vitally key when it comes to pivoting, especially because your mission is how you are doing all this. And so you need to be able to know how and where, when you need to pivot and change so that you can step into all these opportunities. And you need to know how you're going to fulfill your purpose and meet the need as you're stepping into those opportunities. Because if you don't know how you're going to fulfill it once you get there, you're completely lost.
Well, and everyone that you're leading needs to know how are we going to get from here to there. That's really what your mission is all about. It explains those steps that are needed to be taken in order to answer the need that you're here to meet in the lives of those that you lead and serve every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So the 5th is your value. You got to know your value. So within that step, there's a ton of exercises that we teach, that we talk about, that we share. But at the core is that you have value simply in realizing your purpose. But you need to understand all the key pieces that come into play that actually help you and hinder you, so that you can streamline everything that you're doing and know that every time you step into an opportunity, every time that opportunity comes to you, you're bringing everything that you are to the table, and everything that you don't need, you're leaving that behind. Crisis is an incredible opportunity to teach you about that, because what you're doing that's getting in your way is going to cause you to fail during a crisis very, very quickly. You're going to see it really quickly, everything that you're trying to do that's not working, right? And it helps you in a crisis situation to be able to see very, very quickly what's working and what's not. And in that, you really get to understand what your value is, so that you can communicate that and know that every single time you step out, this is all you need. This is the piece that is valuable to those that we're serving, and that's all that we need, and that is enough. That's the 5th piece. Know your value and know the value that you're bringing to the table.
So next is opportunities. And I mean, it makes complete sense how this is relevant to pivoting towards your opportunities, because if you do not know how to identify your opportunities and which opportunities you are valued in the most, you won't know how to pivot. Pivoting is just walking on the path that is set up for you to walk. I mean, it's a twisting, winding path that goes to places you've never even dreamed of, right? I mean, you have no idea what you're going to face along the path of your story. It's the life that you're meant to live, and within that, you're going to have to pivot many, many, many times. And so in order to make sure you stay on the path of the story you're meant to live, you need to be able to pivot in the right ways so that you can take the right turns. And so in order to know how to pivot, you have to know where you're supposed to pivot to.
Yeah, and that's basically understanding your opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sixth step.
Exactly.
And the seventh is really identifying the right tools. There are things, this is the what, it's at the end, right? So the why is at the beginning, and what you actually do and what you need to do on a day-to-day basis in order to lead, in order to be the value leader. It's the last step, because there's all these other 6 steps before you can actually even look at the what. So it's really, what do you need to do? What things do you have? What things do you need in order to fulfill on your purpose and meet the need in the lives of those that you lead and serve every single day? And in that, there's a ton of tools that we offer in order to understand what's helping you, what's hindering you, how to streamline, and how to focus in on really what are the right things. So in terms of a leader, what's the right job? What's the right position? What's the right places for me to be in? What are the right roles for me to assume in order to fulfill my purpose in those places? Where should I go to school? All the way down to, on a personal level, what relationships should I be engaging in? Mm-hmm. Where should I be putting my time and my focus? Where am I valued most? And how do I stay in those relationships? And the places where I'm not, how do I maneuver in those relationships? How do I find the places where I am valued, where I do have opportunity, and live into those, because those are going to move forward, and those are going to allow you to be valued in all of those relationships and not drain you, so that you can continue to grow and be valued in every single relationship, be it personal or professional, as you go along the way. And what tools do you need to have in order to engage in those relationships? There's going to be common tools, and there's going to be unique tools based on the opportunities that come and go within the relationships that we have day to day. But it really comes down to, what are the right tools? Because as we talk about, there's good tools, there's great tools, but what are the right tools? So I always say, good isn't always great. Great isn't always right, but right is always good and great. Mm-hmm. That is key in terms of understanding the right tools, but also understanding when and where to pivot, because there's good opportunities, there's great opportunities, but what are the right opportunities to step into? That's what we're talking about. And that's why the lead framework is so, pardon the pun, pivotal in terms of understanding how to pivot and where to pivot and when to pivot, and who you need with you as you pivot in order to meet the need in the lives of those that you lead and serve every single day, and engage and embrace your opportunities and be the valued leader that they need you to be. Mm-hmm. So over the next 7 episodes, we're going to dig into those seven steps. Clarify your purpose, discern your vision, realize the dream, determine your mission, know your value, understand your opportunities, and identify the right tools. Because in doing all of that, you're going to know exactly what you said, Luke. You're going to know when you need to pivot, how you need to pivot, why you're pivoting. That's key. That's the anchor. Why am I pivoting now? Well, you're going to understand that. You're going to know that. That's what this conversation in this series is about. Yeah. We just thought it was time that we dug into this. Coming off of, thriving through crisis, this is a key tool that you need in order to thrive through crisis, in terms of what we've shared so far on this podcast and where we're leading to after this. We just need this. We need you to know this information, because it's, again, sorry for the pun, it's pivotal in everything that we teach and being valued as a leader along the way. So here's some of the key takeaways from today. First, pivoting happens all the time. We become aware of when we have to pivot, usually when there's a large opportunity standing in front of us. But the truth is, we're pivoting all the time. We just aren't aware of it. So one of the key things in terms of understanding how and when and why to pivot, you just got to know you're doing it all the time. And it really is just an exercise in becoming aware of when and why you're doing it. And as we said, the key reason why you're doing it is because there's an opportunity in front of you. And we have little opportunities and we have big opportunities, and every size of opportunity in between. So know that every opportunity where you actually feel valued as a leader, you've pivoted along the way somewhere in order to meet that opportunity as it came to you. So that's point number one. Second is you got to make it personal and not take it personally. That's one of the key things. As you step into that, you are going to allow yourself to pivot and make the changes that need to be made, and you're not going to hold those things so close to you and not be able to change the things that aren't working for you anymore. So that's the second point. Make things personal. Don't take them personally. And lastly, and this is probably the most important lesson that I've had to learn in being valued in the relationships that I'm leading in, at home and at work, in my community, really everywhere that I have the opportunity to step in to lead. This is one of the key things, that you have everything you need. All you need to do is pivot and step in. And that as you do that, you get everything that you need in order to meet that opportunity as it's given to you, as it comes to you. But if you don't pivot and have the faith and the trust to step into that opportunity, then you're not going to get any of that. And that's the lie that we all believe, that we think we need those things before we can step in. But the truth is, you don't get them until you step in. So go ahead, step in, be the value leader that you need to be in the relationships, in the opportunities that are coming your way each and every day, and watch and learn how you pivot and when to pivot and why to pivot. And the reason you're pivoting is simply because you're there to meet a very specific need in the lives of those that you lead and serve. And in doing that, you fulfill your purpose and engage in those opportunities. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Leadership is hard, which is why the Valued Podcast is here for you. Realize your purpose and be the valued leader you need to be everywhere you go. So if today's episode blessed you in any way, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Then head over to wcompany.ca to see how our on-demand courses and live events teach you how to be valued in all your key relationships at home, work, in your community, and beyond. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get you valued everywhere you go.